All Targaryen dragons in Game of Thrones ranked by power. In the fire-licked chronicles of Westeros, where empires rose and fell on the backs of dragons, a bestiary of magnificent and terrifying creatures took flight. These creatures were not just animals. These were myths that came to life, their roars filling valleys and their shadows blocking the sun. Every dragon, a formidable representation of Targaryen's strength, has a distinct backstory, a tapestry woven with bravery, suspense, and the wild chaos of unchecked power. Here, amidst the murmurs of sorcerers and the charred remains of former conflicts, we explore the mythology surrounding these legendary creatures, classifying them not only according to their stature and power, but also according to the lasting impact they had on the world. Vhagar, the she-dragon, a terror with a heart. The she-dragon, Vhagar, was a magnificent crimson creature whose scales gleamed in the sunlight like polished rubies. Vhagar loved being agile. Her savage claws tore through armor like a hot knife through butter as she moved in a tornado of fire and rage. Her roar was like the screech of a banshee. It could send even the most determined warrior reeling in fear. Riding Vhagar into combat was Aegon the Conqueror's sister wife, Visenya Targaryen. All of them together were a tempest let loose on Westeros. Vhagar relished in destruction, leaving a path of destruction in her wake with her fire breath. Historians tell of the atrocities of the Dornish War, when Vhagar, with terrible efficiency, feasted upon entire villages. Her anger was quick and vicious, and her hunger never stopped. But there was also a glimmer of nuance in Vhagar. Some hinted at a wildness she harbored, a darkness that reflected her rider's callousness. However, this madness could have also been a manifestation of intense loyalty. The whole realm resonated with Vhagar's sorrowful sobs after Caraxes, her sister dragon, and Rhaenys Targaryen's mount died during the Dornish War. Even though it was brief, this exhibition of sadness revealed something about the complexity of these animals and hinted at a range of feelings beyond simple devastation. Caraxes, the Blood Wyrm. After the colossal Vhagar, we have the terrifying dragon Caraxes, also referred to as the Blood Wyrm. Caraxes isn't the largest, but it makes up for it with ferocity and quickness. Imagine a deadly bite, vicious claws, and a sleek, serpentine form. Caraxes is skilled at air warfare, slicing through the skies and landing blows with lightning speed, in contrast to Vhagar's brute force. This dragon was crafty in addition to being strong. Caraxes was a reflection of his rider, the vicious prince Daemon Targaryen. When combined, they were a frightening team that wreaked havoc in their wake. Caraxes had a special weapon in their venomous breath. Caraxes' breath, in contrast to the usual fire blasts, could melt armor and sicken foes. He was especially lethal against opponents with thick armor because of this. Caraxes was not unbeatable, though. Despite his agility, his size prevented him from producing as much fire as other larger dragons. Don't undervalue him, though. Caraxes was a problem for any ground force, and could hold his own against most dragons when piloted by a capable rider like Daemon. Remember that Caraxes engaged Vhagar in a fabled aerial combat during the Dance of the Dragons, displaying his extraordinary skill and tenacity. Even though the battle ended tragically, Caraxes' reputation as one of the most powerful dragons in Westeros's past was solidified. Meleys, the Red Queen, takes flight. Meleys, the majestic scarlet dragon, dubbed the Red Queen, comes in at number 3. Meleys had a more conventional, commanding body with bright red scales and pink-hued wings, in contrast to Caraxes' serpentine shape. She deserved the distinction because of her majestic appearance. Meleys' unparalleled speed was her genuine strength. With unparalleled elegance, she could soar through the heavens faster than nearly every dragon in Westeros. Because of her speed, she was a nightmare for slower opponents, because she could unleash a torrent of fire before they could respond. Meleys was not only swift, but also perceptive and incredibly devoted to her rider, Princess Rhaenys Targaryen. Their camaraderie was legendary because they had trained and fought together for years. Rhaenys, The expert rider, dubbed the Queen Who Never Was, utilized Meleys' agility and speed to terrible effect, hitting opponents with deadly accuracy and stopping them cold. Meleys was not without restrictions, though. Her fire output was regarded as mild in comparison to those of Vhagar and Caraxes. She could undoubtedly wreak havoc on a large scale, but continuous fire breathing was not her strong suit. She was also more vulnerable in lengthy aerial confrontations because, despite her agility, her bulk made her a bigger target than Caraxes. Meleys' quickness, wit, and seamless coordination with her rider made her a formidable opponent despite these drawbacks. Her involvement in the Dance of the Dragons made her foes fearful, and her legacy as the Red Queen is still evidence of her strength and grace. Syrax, the loyal mount, a formidable force. Syrax, the mighty and obedient dragon that Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, the heir to the Iron Throne, rides, lands at number 4. Even though Syrax wasn't the biggest or fiercest dragon in Westeros's past, she was respected for her steadfast power, steadfast devotion, and adaptability in combat. Envision a powerful dragon whose pale golden scales glinted in the moonlight. Syrax had a build that was well proportioned, not too big but nevertheless commanding, exuding both elegance and strength. Despite her size, which allowed her to outpace some larger dragons in speed, she was nevertheless able to carry heavy burdens or a rider wearing extensive armor. Syrax's true power was her versatility. She was able to burn entire buildings and turn battlegrounds into infernos with her devastating firestorms, but she was also skilled at hitting specific targets with minimal collateral damage. Her versatility made her useful in a variety of scenarios, from large-scale battles to targeted assassinations. But above all, Syrax was renowned for her unwavering loyalty to Rhaenyra. Unlike some dragons who could be capricious or obstinate, Syrax and her rider developed a close bond that allowed them to move together with a level of trust and coordination that made them a truly formidable pair. In combat, they moved as one, anticipating each other's moves and maximizing their effectiveness. That being said, Syrax lacked Meleys' unmatched speed and Vhagar's overwhelming domination. She didn't have any special powers like Caraxes' poisonous breath, and although she produced a fair amount of fire, it wasn't the most intense. In spite of these drawbacks, Syrax was indispensable to Rhaenyra's claim to the Iron Throne because of her steady strength, adaptability, and unshakable devotion. Syrax's presence frightened adversaries and helped Rhaenyra's allies feel more confident during the Dance of the Dragons. Her enduring legacy as a fierce dragon and devoted friend serves as a reminder that strength can take many different forms. Sunfyre, the golden beast, and a legacy tainted by madness. Alluring and terrifying at the same time, Sunfyre was a majestic golden dragon with scales that shimmered like molten gold. Held captive by Aegon II Targaryen, a pivotal character in the Dancing of the Dragons, Sunfyre was brutally wounded and left hanging between life and death. But it resisted all the odds and recovered, showing its ultimate resilience. The strains of battle drove Aegon II, a young and inexperienced king thrown into the cruel crucible of the dance, to the point of developing instability. His judgments were driven by mistrust and gossip, which made him merciless and paranoid. Sunfyre was likewise affected by this spiral into lunacy. The once dominant golden dragon turned into a mercurial being, its flaming breath wreaking havoc on both allies and adversaries. The bloody sack of King's Landing, which saw the nation's capital destroyed by fire and sword, marked the pinnacle of Sunfyre's decline. Seemingly out of control, Sunfyre rained down its flaming vengeance on the city, destroying streets and homes with equal abandon. The sound of the innocents' screams resounded above the dragon's roar, a terrifying scene that solidified Sunfyre's image as a terrifying herald of mayhem. Ultimately, Sunfyre was destroyed in a terrible accident rather than in a valiant war. Sunfyre's enormous size proved to be its downfall during an unsuccessful attempt to flee King's Landing. The dragon broke off a piece of the city wall, and the force of the blow caused a firestorm that destroyed the majestic beast along with the surrounding buildings. With Sunfyre's passing, the dance of the dragons came to an end, destroying Westeros and changing people's perceptions of dragons for all time. The lasting lore of Dragonfire. Beyond simply being formidable creatures, the dragons of the Targaryen dynasty represented a historical period and were a living representation of fire and blood. Their tales are rife with bravery, drama, and the dreadful turmoil that results from possessing so great power. From the legendary giant Balerion, the Black Dread, to the golden beast Sunfyre. Crazed by madness, these dragons etched themselves into the fabric of Westeros in flames. Their complicated heritage serves as a constant reminder of both the magnificent beauty and the deadly potential that these legendary beasts are capable of. Gazing upon dragon riders, a look past the roar. It's critical to keep in mind that dragons were more than simply weapons of mass destruction. They were allies and partners who shared a special link with their riders. Deep still, the Targaryens, a bloodline of Valyrians with a natural affinity for dragons, knew the significance of this link. A dragon rider was a symbiont, their fates entwined, more than just a person who controlled a beast. Consider Meleys and Rhaenys Targaryen. Meleys' speed and fierceness matched her rider's audacity, or take Daemon Targaryen, the very image of chaotic energy, and Vermithor, the Bronze Fury, the ideal combination. But there were moments when this symbiotic relationship wasn't harmonious. The descent of Aegon II into madness tragically affected Sunfyre, revealing the vulnerability of these magnificent creatures to the emotional turmoil of their riders. The Dragon's Fall, a foreboding folklore, the death of their dragons, marked the end of the Targaryen dynasty. Their numbers were greatly reduced by the Dance of the Dragons, a war driven by ambition and a contempt for custom. Weakened and terrified, the surviving dragons turned into unmanageable shadows of their former grandeur. The War of the Ninepenny Kings marked the climax of this deterioration, with the terrible death of the last known Targaryen dragon, an emaciated and ill monster. The story of the Dragon's Fall is a potent warning. It draws attention to the perils of unbridled ambition and the disastrous results of exercising authority without discernment. It serves as a warning that riders' foolishness has the power to bring down even the most majestic animals. The Song of Ice and Fire's dragons, an everlasting mystery. Though they are no longer seen in Westeros, there are still many stories and rumors about dragons. The legends surrounding these incredible creatures never cease to astonish and horrify in equal measure. The long-dormant might of Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion, the dragons of Daenerys Targaryen, has sparked again with their recent hatching. It remains to be seen if these new dragons will bring in a new age of blood and fire, or if they will turn into forces of peace and unification. The legend of the Targaryen dragons is one that has lasting power. It serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between power and responsibility, as well as a monument to the everlasting power of myth and legend. This tale begs the question, will dragons ever really disappear from the skies of Westeros? Or will their flaming breath light the night once more?